All right. Hey, how you doing? It's Paul from China Cash Buyers, and we got Wallace Joe on the line again. Hey, Wallace, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. I'm good. Hey, tell me, what's latest? We talked. Was it like 2 years ago? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah, about that, yes.
Yeah. What's the latest? It sounds like I've been looking online. It looks like you really have been pushing it forward, and really rolling out the business and doing all kinds of new things. What's an update on where you were and how you are now?
hmm So, where I was 2 years ago was that I actually have figured out ways to get property that's in a discount in United States in the state of Delaware. So over the last 2 years, I was working on figuring out how I can build up the team so that I can do the same type of stuff, around the country. So now, fast
Wow.
forward 2 years since we last spoke. So now I'm at the stage. I'm looking for more partners to come into this business because I'm able to get properties around the country with a discount. For instance, there are people who are not able to pay their mortgage payments on a regular basis in the state of Delaware. So I imagine in other states it will be the same because there's job losses, job transfer, divorce, all types of issues that we're going through on a daily
Right.
basis. Yeah, and in real estate, when those things happen to people, um, they tend to become extremely motivated, which means people started, going to let their property go for a lot less than what they pay for the house. So, me as a full-time investor, I could help them get out the best situation by purchasing their house with cash. So,
Right. So
yeah.
you've got the cash, you've got the dry kindling. So when somebody does want to buy a house, sell a house,
hmm
you can purchase that. And I know that a lot of people talk about, being cash buyers and this and that.
Yeah.
I know you very well, and I know that you're the real deal. So what's the difference between you and people that advertise that they're cash buyers? I don't know if this is. I'd like to know actually. What's the difference between?
Uh-huh.
I know a
Yeah,
lot of people.
you actually just asked a very, very good question because not a lot of people, realize the difference between me and other people who will call them cash buyers. So, for me, since I did, I would say at least 95% plus of my business is in Delaware, so I can only speak on on the behalf of people who live in the state of Delaware.
Sure.
So actually, for these people who live in Delaware or like people who are doing business in Delaware, call themselves cash buyers. They are actually investors who actually don't really have enough cash.
That's
So what?
exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about that.
Yes. So because you are doing real estate, you have been a professional, for decades. So you know that a lot of times it's very hard for any American person to come up, 200,000, 300,000, maybe four, $500,000 at one time. Most
Right.
people can't really do that, right? So what they do is they go out and find people who are looking to sell their house at a discount,
Okay.
and then since they are not able to purchase the house with cash, so what they do is they sign the agreement with the seller and then come to me asking me to pay slightly above what they agree, so they get to keep the difference.
Okay, I got it. I got it. So basically, they're going out
Yes.
finding most cash buyers are going
hmm
around looking for things on that are on a discount. They're getting
yes.
the rights to buy, and then they're finding people who actually have cash, and then selling
Yes.
them for a little bit more.
Yes.
Right.
Say
Right.
you tied up a house
Yeah.
for $200,000, right?
Yeah.
And then the same day you tied up the house with the seller for $200,000, you will call me, say, "Hey Wallace, would you want to buy a house at 205,000 or 210,000?"
Right.
Because they know that I actually not just myself, I actually have a team of investors that I work with over the last 7 years. So now they see me, purchase house, fix houses. They started, jump into this business with me as, the ones we call private lender. So they will actually, you know, invest their funds with me to purchase the house together. Or they will say, I will be the bank, on this house. You give me this house as a collateral. Once you sell the house, you pay me the interest, and we're done. So I get to say I purchase a house for 100,000,
Right.
and then say you loan me money for the $100,000 to purchase the house, and then you loan me another 50,000 to fix the house. So altogether is 150, right?
Right.
And then you will say, hey, Wallace, listen, if I loan you 150, what I want is a $10,000 interest from you for the next 12 months period of time. Can you do that? So once I agree with the terms, then you will wire the funds into the attorney's account, and then the attorney will, pay for the $100,000 to the seller, and then cut me a check for the $50,000 that I will use to fix the house. And once I get the house fixed, say I sell the house at 200, so that leaves a difference of $50,000, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So a part of it will go towards to the closing costs, the realtor commission, all that stuff. Then I will pay you the other $10,000 that we agree. Then I do get to keep the difference after that.
Right. You've got the what is it, the model, and other people want in, so they want to invest with you. How about yourself? I know you've bought a lot of houses, a lot of real estate yourself. How much have you personally bought, and how much is your seven people on your team? How much is the team, and how much is yourself?
So the percentages started changing over the last few years. In the beginning, I would say I purchased, 100% of the house of my own.
How many
and then
how many was that until then?
I don't remember the exact number, but I remember
It was a lot. I know.
Yeah, it was a lot. My first year, I was doing it by myself, and then I think started from my second year, I had a couple investors who jumped in. They either became the lender or they purchased the house. Let me be the realtor who lists their house for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right.
Yeah, but now if you ask me today, I would say 100% of my transactions is coming from my investors, meaning like they provide the funds. I no longer provide the funds.
Okay. Right. You got the system now. You can do it very quickly. And you're out there. I suspect you're out there looking for discount properties, right? Is that your main taking the company nationwide?
I actually started doing everything by myself. And then, from a couple of years ago, I started outsource all these things. So now I actually have a team of people that will go out locating those discounted properties for me. I no longer do that myself. I remember back in the day, like every Friday night, me and my other friend, we would drive our car, go out, put out some signs like we buy houses, right? And then we stopped doing that, after we did it for like a little over a year.
Right. I know you guys at that time were very well known for doing that. Like area, everybody knew you guys were buying houses.
Yeah, we are actually very well known in Delaware. In Delaware, pretty much all like real estate professionals, they know us.
Okay.
Yeah, but now pretty much everything is being outsourced, and now I also have a lot more investors who jump in doing deals with me by by providing the funds. And then for me, how I protect those investors is I offer them properties that's worth more than what they will invest. Say you invest $80,000 as a lender, I will give you a house worth more than $100,000. Meaning the house has enough equity to protect you in case something happened to me or in case I disappear. You get to keep the house that's worth more than what you pay for.
Wow. Okay. So it's okay. So there's some security, physical,
Yeah.
hard security for them.
Yeah, I have to do that is because I wanted to do this with all of my investor partners long term. First of all, second of all, with my a lot of my partners from China who live in another country, they live hundreds thousands of miles away. I don't want these guys to worry about what's going on over here in the U.S. That's why when they give me the funds, I let them send the funds to the attorney directly, and also I give them a property at the same time to protect them.
Right, right. You know, Wallace, I mean, this is you have such a machine. I've watched it kind of, grow, and I watched it start, and I want to talk about that later next. But I think you really are on the verge of building a massive company. Do you get the same feeling? I mean, you really are doing everything right. You're providing, you started it all yourself. You found the deals. You know how to find the deal. You did it consistently over and over and over. And then people saw it and they wanted to invest. And then you found another model where you're giving them security. So their money is secure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They own some real estate.
Yeah.
No matter what happens to the deal, right? If a laser from space takes you out, you're still they're secure, right? And
yes,
legally secure with physical hard assets, right? So I think and I really I see you taking this company quite big, actually. I remember when you first joined the podcast and then you joined the China Cash Buyers members there. I was like, this guy's special. Like, this guy's going to do something. I was thinking that even back then. That's why I did that first podcast with you. I was like, this guy's special. This guy's honest, and he's smart, and he's hardworking, and he also has very good luck, because your first houses you all bought, was it 09 or 08 or 010? When was it? When did you buy? Like, how you got started was like luck.
I started purchasing my very, very first house. It was 2010. I think it was in May 2010. That was the first house I purchased.
Oh, 2010. Okay, it was that late. Okay, right.
Yeah, and at the time, I didn't have enough money. So all I could do is, since I had good credit score, I always have good credit score. So I was lucky enough to get the bank to give me a loan where I only have to put, I think my down payment was right around $20,000 at the time. Okay. I purchased the house at like $210,000.
Yeah.
That was my very first house.
Nice. 10%. In that time, it was not easy, man.
Yeah.
No one was giving loans. You must have had great credit. Okay, cool. Well, so I got a lot of things in my mind. Where to take this? So you want to take this nationwide. I would say there's a few things I can think of. One is you probably want more investors, right?
Yes.
Two, you want to take it nationwide, right? What else?
Yes,
what else
absolutely.
do you see? Where do you see it going? Where do you see the company going? Like, what could you do with this type of company?
I started seeing this company more like a hedge fund company now.
Right.
And this will become a large hedge fund company, because I know that a lot of the banks and even hedge fund companies, they don't offer investors, high enough returns. Where my investors, like I do have, all of the paperwork where, my investors normally get anywhere from, say, 7 to 10% annual return, and that's a lot higher than the bank.
Oh yeah. That's fantastic. That makes total sense. I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, once you have the model and it's reproducible, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants a good return on their investment, right? So you can start to make something of a hedge fund or some kind of a fund if you can keep it going. The thing is the challenge, I guess, is going to be finding those houses on a regular basis, no matter what the economy is like. That is the heart of your business, right? If you stop being able to discount properties, it's kind of all over, right? What do you see? I mean, you don't want to give up your secrets, right? But do you have anything that you want to say publicly about?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind share, what I do with people. I have no problem, because I don't believe competitions. I'm totally okay with, answering, all of your questions.
Okay.
So did you ask me how I found my deals?
Yeah, I mean, how? Okay, so essentially, the model. This is why I
Hmm.
wanted to start a hedge fund years ago, and
Hmm.
so I know quite. This is kind of like something I'm quite fond of. You know, the idea is like once you have a way to making people money, right?
Yeah.
And you have a consistent model. You've done it for yourself. Where a lot of people, the reason why most people don't make hedge funds and they're not able to scale it is because they can't get the raw materials, right? What is it?
Yeah.
What is your magic that makes it happen? If it's not scalable, that's where most,
Mhm.
like if you have, of course you always have scammers or people that are not logical and businesses that are just essentially flawed from the beginning. But
Mhm.
besides that, when you have a good person who's an honest investor who are, you know, has a good model, it's often not scalable. And that's where it usually stops in my experience, is because then
Mhm.
they have this great thing, but it's not scalable, right? It gets like
Yes.
they get you know, $1 million investment, and they do great with that, no problem. And then they get a two
Yeah.
million dollar investment, they do fantastic. The returns are
Mhm.
insane, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the real money rolls in, and you get $100
Mhm.
million, and you get and there's like huge pools of capital that want to give you money. That's when
Yeah.
it falls apart, because either
Yes.
it goes two ways. Either they start to lie and say they can do it and take the
Yeah.
money, and this is what usually happens, and they start buying things that are, you know, second rate, not exactly what they were doing in the beginning. They
Yeah.
change their model,
Yeah.
and then everything falls apart, right? And then,
Yes.
or they go the other way where they can't take the money and they can't scale it, right? So
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
you need to have that ability to scale this thing. Do you
Yeah.
realistically see? I know it's a seller's market.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like everybody, it's not like it was back in, you know, 2010, right? What's
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a huge change for the last 12 months, and it was kind of scary over here in Delaware. Is where I live, right? The home price went up like crazy from 2012, I think. The price went up a little bit, say like 2-3% a year. So
hmm,
last year, I started seeing like say a $400,000 home will sell for $500,000 today. So the home just went up like 20%, the
right?
home price. So here's what I do. Um, I am a firm believer of, you know, growing the team. If you want to, like you said, you want to scale the business, you have to first, you know, grow your team. So I believe in order for you to go to the next level, you have to be willing to share your secrets, your formulas on how to, you know, make a, you know, a massive profit in real estate. You have to be willing to teach other people, let other people know. So, so what I do is I actually help quite a few people, show them how to do what I do, and then they will go out find deals like I did before, and we now just become partners. So I believe to get 1%, I rather get 1% of $100 million instead of getting 100% of nothing. So with that being said, I think, you know, if I continue to locate people who can do the same thing that I do around the country, even if we have, you know, $100 million, it will not be a problem, because then, you know, we can start lend out those monies to other investors who are like, you know, a master of flipping houses. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, I got you. So it's sharing knowledge, it's being
Yes.
open, and it's human capital, finding the right people, and it's
Yeah.
knowing that you can't eat all the cake. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to
Yes.
give those investors a huge chunk and also
Yeah.
teach them your secrets. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I would suspect that would bring some loyalty too, because everybody likes a person like that, right? You know, it's like somebody
Yeah.
who has they got the horsepower to spare, right? They're able to do it. It's somebody who's going
Hmm.
to go bigger and bigger, right? Do people,
Yeah.
investors, will they get a piece of your bigger company, or is it just like, are they working like on, I would suspect you're building the company on your own, but um, if do you see any possible, are you technically one person, or is it like the whole, is the company the seven investors, or how does it work? Like, what is it?
Okay. So I actually have a partner.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have a partner. So me and my partner, he actually does the operational stuff, day-to-day operational stuff, because we also own a property management company. And then for me, I spend most of my time, locating people, putting people in places, putting people together, and locating funds for our
Okay.
company. So,
Okay.
for instance, the one thing I would like to tell you is that since now we just talked about, I utilize all of my investors' money to purchase houses, right? So, where does my money go? So, the answer to that is my money actually went to other investors who actually have been in the business for, say 20 years, 30 years, even 40 years. I will loan out money to these people because, to me, first of all, they give me houses as collateral as well to protect me.
Right.
Second, these people are veterans. They are doing a better job than I do, actually, because they've been doing this since, 2, 3 decades ago.
Right.
So with me, every time I have additional funds, I will reinvest my funds with these investors to get myself double-digit returns, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. Okay. I got you. I got you. So
Yeah.
there's a big difference between what you're saying and what you're doing, I should say, and what most people do, because you often read like some real estate guru, he has this way of
Hmm.
making money, and then he's going to sell the way to do this model, to teach
Hmm.
you this model, and then he's going to profit whether they
Hmm.
sell anything or not, right? And whereas what you're saying is, you're saying, hey, you're like, obviously this works, it makes a lot of money. You're not, nothing is for sale. If
Hmm.
you want to invest in real estate, come to me and we'll build, we'll make a ton of money, right? So it's really great. It's if something really works, you really want to do it for yourself, right? In general, right? It's
Yes, yes. I actually went through so many, the ones you call the gurus. I went to Florida a couple of times, pay somebody,
right,
$30,000 one
right.
time, $50,000 one time, and then I went to different states, I drive, few hours. And then, every time those seminars, called the real estate success seminars cost minimum of $15,000. But then guess what, Paul? None of these things really worked for me. I
Exactly,
went, I
exactly.
spent my money, and I did what they told me to do, but
Yeah.
none of these things really worked.
Right, right, right. Either, yeah, usually the models are out of date, or they didn't really do it
Hmm.
themselves, or something like that, right? There's usually
Yeah.
something wrong with.
I think they're just selling the system because I think they are selling the human nature, which is every human wants to do well, wants to be financially
Sure,
free.
sure.
So that's why they're selling them a dream. So for people like me, I always looking to do better so that I can provide more for my family. Of course I'm willing to spend the money. I remember I even at the time I didn't even have money. I borrowed money against my credit card, paying 20 to 23% interest to pay for these gurus. But guess what? At the end, not only I lost the money on my credit card that I paid for these guys, and then after that, they sell me those systems where I purchase marketing materials through their company,
Yeah,
for like $2,500 a month. I
yeah.
still lost all of those money as well because the marketing stuff they taught us, it's either like you said outdated or it just doesn't exist, doesn't work.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, I know. It's a sad thing, but I think when you, I guess the funny thing about these kind of things is when you really want to succeed, right? Like, you obviously
Hmm.
had a huge driving desire to succeed. You were willing to try these things, right? You were open-minded, right? Like, I remember
Yeah,
when we met, and you joined the course, my course, I was like,
yeah,
when I started hearing your personality, I'm like, this guy's like amazingly optimistic and open-minded and trying things, and also caring too, caring about people. I was like, whoa, like that you're gonna find good and you're gonna find bad when you're like that, right? Like people that are
yeah,
closed-minded, that don't try anything, that everything is bad, everything's a scam. Those kind of guys, they don't find anything good, right? because
yeah, yeah,
because they're nothing is good to them. Like, everything's a scam. I think for me the difference is, one, it's the willingness to try things and look into things, but also it's I think if you're on that road to learning, you eventually come across stuff that is helpful, that is useful, right? That is
Yeah.
not a scam, and it's 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 something that the other people that aren't searching, that aren't really driven to find things, they never find it, right? Yeah, I think it's easier. In other words, I think it's easy to be two ways. It's either to be a complete idiot and buy everything, trust everybody, or
Yeah.
everything's a scam. Everyone's an idiot. I don't trust anybody. I can't do anything with anybody. You know what I mean? I can't take any investors because
Yeah.
they're all scumbags. I can't buy any course because no one's going to help me. It's just a scam. Those two things, unfortunately, are what most people are. But I see you in the middle, and I'm the same way. Like, I'm open minded to listen to new things. Like, hey, there's this. I'll listen, right? I'll give it a chance. Right?
Yeah.
If it turns out not to be good, then I'll learn my lesson, right? But
Yeah, I just keep trying. I just keep looking.
right.
I believe, I believe it's just a numbers game. If you try enough, if you fail enough, I think one day you will find your way.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, of course, yeah. And it's not that far away, right? It's not like you have to search for, decades. It's just like that willingness to get out there and then take a few bumps on the chin, take a few, you know what I mean? A few steps on the knee, and then say, okay, I'm still in. I'm still going for it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
That was my experience in China. Everybody said you couldn't do it. You couldn't make money in China. You're going to get scammed. There's no way. And I went over there, and I did get scammed. I got scammed for a ton of money, over and over and over again, and had things stolen, partners that ripped me off, and everything. But I just kept going at it, and I finally found success. So I think I'm the exact same way, and it can be, it's just so easy, human nature, to go one or the other. I think it's just so, and you feel so self-assured, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm right. I want to be right.
Yeah. You just gotta find what's working for you. What works for everybody else doesn't really mean it will work for you.
That's right. You got to be open, but at the same time, exactly. Well, cool. Well, okay. So you want to go towards a hedge fund model. Right. I have a couple friends who started hedge funds. Actually, I have 3 friends who started hedge
funds. Wow.
Yeah, you could talk to these guys. I could get you in touch with them and see if you guys have any, things in common, share some information. All 3 of them were very successful. So I'll see if I'll look them up. One of them actually lives here in Bangkok. And so he started a fund in Japan. I'll talk to him and see what he has to say. See if we can. I can't guarantee it. I'll have to see what they're doing and what they're open. But what else? Is there anything about your business? Because I want to say at the end, I have a plan that might be useful. We talked about it before, and I want to put it out there. But anything else you want to say about the business? You want to add?
I just think in this business, just like you said, working with $1 million is easy. Working with $2 million is easy, because as a real estate investor, you can never have enough funds. That's what my mentor told me. But then, the number of, $100 million, $200 million, that's really something that you need to have a detailed plan on how you can, take these funds. Not only you are able to help the investors get a healthy return, but at the same time, you have to make it work.
Right.
Yeah, that's a challenge, That's a challenge, I think, to probably pretty much any real estate investors nowadays.
Right. It takes a lot of study of what other people have done, how they did
it.
My friend had a fantastic idea in Japan of how to buy houses that were under rent control since the war. And it was a really great idea. It was a really super, super idea to make money off specific houses. But it is hard because the people that lived in there were very, very old, and they weren't so open-minded to new ideas. And so it got kind of caught up on just human nature, right? They were in their 80s and 90s, and they really, this was a big shock for them, this kind of whole thing. It actually was a great idea for them, but it was not easy because of human nature. So there's a lot of things that can trip up a plan to go big, even if the plan makes perfect sense, right? So I really want to see as you start to come out with your specific public plan, how to roll this thing out big. And I'll be happy to introduce anybody that I can to get you to the next level. But I want to see.
Oh, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to see your public kind of charter, the charter of the fund, like where it's going to go, just kind of in stone, right? Here's what the fund is. Here's what we do. Here's our opportunity. Here's what we need. Here's how it works. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Here's our challenges, future challenges.
Yeah, because like you said, working with a smaller number is always easier.
Well, it's easy if you're a genius. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even easy. That's not easy. Like, to make money, most people are not good at it. You know, you had that skill, and that actually leads me into what I wanted to say here at the end is like we talked about this before, but I think that every person is different, and that's what I do with my course. I go into every person, I look at each person, and I come up with some kind of strategy that makes sense for them, just like you said, right? And I think one of the things that I really think is missing in this whole strategy is I think you really need to promote yourself as a success in America. So what every immigrant wants to do is to be successful, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole thing. Like, it's one thing to move countries, but you don't want to go to a new country and be a failure. And that's like especially with, Chinese, when they're coming to America, it's like the biggest thing is like, is this thing going to work for me? Am I going to be a success? And so immigrants that are a success become very famous, like in the media, in the news, in movies, and also in America. Americans love to hear about a new success, a new person who came over, and despite any politician or any law, they didn't care. They had optimism, and they had intelligence and hard work, and they made it happen. And they came in today, in the modern days, and they made it happen. And that kicks Americans in the butt, because they say, hey, this can be done. Look at this guy right here, right? I would like to see you doing is to start to get some media attention for you as a success story, as a Chinese immigrant, success story to America, immigrant to America, success story. It's like, if you look at John Sheen, right? Okay, in China, right? She if anybody doesn't know her, she's a multi-billionaire real estate developer. Her and her husband and Pan Sri, and they have this company. And the thing that really was what do you call it? I think the story that got everybody's heart in China, and the story that everybody shared for free on social media, and the story that everybody resonated with, was that John Sheen, she had gone to Hong Kong, and she had worked in a factory. She was a factory girl, like that book, And so she came from the very, very bottom, like slave labor, really, And then she now is one of the richest people in the world, right? And that story of rags to riches is really what I think what drove her real estate company to the top, because everybody else is like, hey, I'm going to make money, right? Nobody really wants to help anybody who just wants to make money, right? Like, what is the story? What is the emotional connection to me? Why should I do this? Why should I forward this? Why should I share this? Why should I tell my friend? Why should I tell my friend who works at the bank? Why should I do anything, right? Why should I buy a house here? It's because of the emotional connection. And that's what everybody's looking for. And that's what every company tries to do, but it's very difficult, right? It's the most difficult thing is to separate yourself from everybody who's just out there making money. But the best way that you can do it is by telling an honest story, So you see in America, you see a lot of guys who grew up in trailer parks, right? And then they succeeded, and then everybody loves that story, And they're like, wow, this guy, he had everything against him, and it was tough and everything. But again, there's no one story that works for everybody, because actually, when I was a kid, we lived in a trailer park. And the funny thing is, nobody believes it today. So I don't tell that story because no one believes it. They're like, you? How is that possible? Right? So I don't use it. So it doesn't work for everybody, right? Everybody has a
Yeah.
different, even if it's true for you, right? It doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
For me, what works for me often, my story is that I grew up surfing on the beach, right? Like just a regular California surfer kid, and then ended up,
Yeah.
having a real estate company in China and working with huge companies and this and that, right? And doing all these all these businesses. And so that story is what resonates with people. It's like this, just, because people don't think of surfers as the smartest guys in the world, right? And not the most ambitious, right? And they're like, how do you go from here to here, right? So I don't tell the trailer park story, although I consider the trailer park story more important personally, So often your story that is going to reach out and touch people around the world, it has to be true, obviously, but two, it has to be something that they resonate with, not just you resonate with, right? So I resonate with the trailer park because I remember how hard it was, and I remember hand-me-downs and all these other things. But I don't say it because people just look at me and say, no way, this guy was privileged or something, like it was easy for him. But they can believe surfer, right? So you have to kind of pick and choose too of your stories, and you kind of have to test it out with other people and see which one hits home, right? And then that's the one that you create your marketing around and that you promote, right? And then you stick to it. Once you get a good story, once you get something people resonate with, that is a personal story of yourself, then you stick with it. Every time you go and you speak, every time you're in the newspaper, every time you're on TV, every time you're doing a presentation, that story comes out and you've got it wired, you've got it down. And that story is your story, right? That's your public story for this company, right? So I think that I personally think that you need to get on the bandwagon of the American immigrant success story. And I think there's a lot of reasons. One is it's a timeless story. Everybody loves that story, right? Americans love that story. It's like a compliment to America, that somebody can come in and work hard and make a success in America, because there's a lot of people saying that's not possible anymore, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dark voices, like there's no hope, we have to move to Canada, there's no way you can do anything in America anymore. There's too many regulations, there's this, that, there's this, so many reasons why they can't succeed. And then somebody comes out who's a real story and totally kicks butt in today's age, is like, that's mind-boggling. That's like, Americans love that, and American media loves it too. They'll be very happy to feature you and to put you on TV, to put you in the news, but you have to start somewhere, right? First, you have to write the story, the true story of what you went through, how you felt. You went to America. How did you feel? Why did you go? How were you before you came? And then write that story a bit, and then send it to me. Let's go, and your friends too, and your wife, and let's go over it, and let's start to ask questions, and then also to narrow that story down to like a B, C. I was this, I did this, I became this, right? You need a simple story too. You need to break it down. It can't be too complicated, because media, books, TVs, news, they don't have time for a complicated story. And you need to, it's very difficult, because I'm saying it's got to be personal, it's got to resonate, and it's got to be boiled down to the essence. But once you do it, once you get that story, that is your gem. That is your total gem, because you can break it out anytime. And this is what separates people that build companies, is almost always, there's some specific story or some specific benefit that has been worked. It's almost like you have this big stone, right? And you're chipping away at the stone, and inside the stone is a statue that you have to create, right? You have to find it inside of this huge stone. And once you've done the hard work of thinking about it and then doing it, then it's obvious, it's beautiful, right? And everybody can share it, take a picture, share it. It's very easy, right? So it's about, you have to do the hard work of thinking and planning and trying. And then, maybe some things you did were just too amazing and no one will believe it. That's possible too, right? Sometimes I have to throw out stuff I did because either people won't understand it because it was in China, or, Chinese will understand, but non-Chinese won't understand, right? I was kidnapped. I was beaten by like 30 guys. And, one time, and it was I thought I was going to be killed, and so it was a very difficult situation. But when I tell that story in full to Chinese audiences, everybody comes up to me afterwards because they know it's true. They listen to the story. They're like, oh my gosh, this foreigner is serious. This guy's not kidding around, he's, and then like they're like blown away, and it builds enormous trust with Chinese audiences because they know the details. When I tell them, they're like that. Oh my gosh, that totally makes sense. Oh my gosh. And so, but when I tell it to foreigners, it seems like too big. It's like, how did this guy, what, like it doesn't, it doesn't jive with foreigners. So I have to think of who you're speaking to when you speak, right? Which audience, how much do they know? If they don't know much about China, it might seem very difficult to understand the story, right? So you have to think of who is the audience you're speaking to, what is your story, and then to start to whittle it down. So if you're going to be speaking to American investors, in this case, it's kind of convenient because your story is very good for Americans and it's very, very good for Chinese. I know one person who has done a great job with a story like this, and you are more successful than anybody else I know that is using this story. But there's a fantastic girl, Li Lin, which you probably know her. Did you listen to her on the podcast?
No, I did not.
Okay, Lee is amazing. And she was a friend of a friend. And so I got introduced to her and she started to watch my videos and she contacted me and she was like, wow, I really enjoy your videos. I'm not a real estate agent. She's like, but I really enjoy your stuff. Like, this is so amazing. She's Chinese and she had immigrated to the States, right? She was originally in Nevada, I believe. Now she's in Southern California in Newport Beach, but she came over and she has a consulting product called The Successful Immigrant. And then she teaches, her niche is like, let's say you're a student, right? And you go to America, it's actually not that easy to succeed in America. A lot of the Chinese think it's going to be easy because the school is going to be easy. Everything's going to be easy. It's not easy, right? It's difficult. And so a lot of Chinese, they fail in America and they're very ashamed and they go back home very quietly after not having succeeded. But this can ruin a family, like their life savings. It can be total tragedy for the people involved, right? So what she does is she helps these students, once they finish a good school, they graduate, how to get a good job, because Chinese don't know they're very poor at interviewing in America. They don't know how to present themselves very well. So she helps them to get a job, to get their first job after they finish that good school, right? So that's her kind of niche. And I know Lee quite well. I've met her several times. She's awesome, right? And I think that you can take part of her idea. And actually, we talked before Lee. Our podcast, when I talked about this the first time, it was before I ever met Lee. And I was listening to your story. I'm like, Joe Wallace, you're a success. Like, you're an American success story. Like, don't you realize that? Like, that's what everybody wants. They want to be a success. And when they find somebody who's an honest success, and you've got everything, right? You've got the success, you've got the facts, you've got the ownership of the titles. You can show people the real estate you own. It's not bullshit. It's not vaporware,
Yeah. So we have paperwork. So we have our local attorneys,
of course,
who can verify all of those things. And actually, I work with several attorneys, not just one.
Right. Now you've got all the facts, and you're in a business that's very verifiable. As a real estate agent or as a buyer, all this information is public, so anybody can check you out in 2 minutes, right? If they know how to, if they're a real estate agent or they know how to.
Yeah, we have all the paperwork as well.
That's right. So that's a big advantage for you. That's a huge advantage, is you're in a verifiable business, the real estate business. People know what you did, what your business actually purchased, and what they actually did when they actually sold it. They know this stuff. This stuff is public. So I think that's another big advantage, is that a lot of success stories don't have any verifiable information. And so they're stuck, like they can say they're a success, but nobody really knows. So I think that's another really good thing that you got going for you. But I think it's time to start to think about this story, create this story, test it, run it by many people. It's going to be a little bit different for Chinese. It's going to be a little bit different for Americans, because Americans, you want to compliment Americans. Like, I came to America and, a lot of people said, I wouldn't succeed. Chinese told me don't go, they're racist or whatever it is. It's not going to work. It's too difficult. The time is no good. The economy is bad, but you went anyway. Right. And then you did blah, 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 blah. And that story will fire up Americans. From the Chinese perspective, it's going to be a little bit different, as you know, right? They're going to be thinking, if I go overseas, what's going to happen to me? how will it look for me? They're going to want to know details, and Chinese are very tough, right?
Yeah.
As far as this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they don't just believe some BS. So they're going to want more facts. They're going to want more specifics. They're going to want more details about business transactions and, that kind of stuff. But so you build those two stories in parallel. And then once those stories are done, then we'll work on the next stage, which is getting you into the media and getting this story out there. Because the story, believe me, the story is more powerful than anything else. Once you have the story, that's what separates you from everybody else. It makes you a human being. It makes you personal, right? And that's what everybody wants. They want to work with a human being. They don't want to work with Coca-Cola, right? They want to work with a human. That's what social media, that's what everything's about now. It's just, it always has been, but it's just like now it's possible to scale that personal connection, right? Anybody watches my videos, they contact me and they feel like they know me. They watch my videos. I'm very honest in my videos. So they're like, wow, I heard that story and I thought about this and I saw this. Do you know this guy? We're right into a conversation, right? So I think that's the thing. You want to think that way. So you're probably going to start to make videos, telling stories, showing who you are. But I would say first you want to do the thinking and the planning, and then the rolling out. And the thinking and planning might not be that difficult for you because I've already done a lot of the thinking right here. Got you down to like a good starting point, right? You're at the starting gate now, right? Does that all jive? Does that resonate with you? How does that feel?
I think. I think you are very right. After talking to you today, I think I need to spend some time to think about, what I need to do, how I need to present myself to the public, and how I'm gonna tell people my story instead of just focusing on building, because that's what I did, for the last few years. All I did was working, trying to take this company to the next level, trying to figure out how I can do better than, other people who are doing the same thing that I do, in this country. So that's that had just been my focus for the last few years. But, after I talked to you, you just gave me a brand new idea of, actually telling people a true story of what happened to me, what happened to my life, how my life was changed after I got into real estate.
Right. Why they should invest with you. What is it about you that's different from other people? And what drives you? Why are you the way you are? Like, why are you looking for this investment? Like everybody's got different reasons, right? Everybody has a different vision. And that vision is that what separates people, Nissan made an electric car, right? And Tesla made an electric car company. And the difference is Tesla had a vision of all electric. They're never going to have a gas engine. They're never going to have a hydrogen, fuel cell. They're always going to be pure electric. And he had a dream and he had a plan. It was very, very simple, and it was like, but it was to change the world, really, is what his plan was. Yeah. And that's why it was regardless of what anybody thinks about Tesla, he was a total master at this. He totally solidified it. He didn't say, he could have said, hey, we'll do engines, we'll do electric, we'll do everything. That's what all the other companies are doing, right? That's the safe way. Yeah. It's like we do what everybody else does. We do everything, but we're more electric. That would have been the safe way to start. But he didn't start that way because he had a plan. He had a vision. He actually had a vision. So I think that's the last thing I'll add into this whole thing is that I really want you to, while you're writing this, to struggle and to really struggle internally about where you want the company to go, because you're not just writing a story for marketing. You're writing a story for yourself. You're writing a story to roll out a humongous hedge fund or a very successful hedge fund, right? So you want to write this story for yourself so that you don't get lost in the side things when people say, hey, we should do this, we should do this, we should do development, whatever. People will take you off track, right? Once you set in stone who you are and what you're doing, it's obviously it's like this is the path for my company. If you want to be on, get on board, right? Grab an oar, start rowing, let's go, right?
Yep.
So it's good in many ways. It's good for marketing, but I would say through this, you're creating a clear plan that will guide you in the future. And also that this plan can change a little bit. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to forever and ever and never change. I mean, look at Tesla. They started as electric cars. Now they do electric roofs and batteries, right? And these eventually are coming together as a complete solidified plan. Now, whether anybody likes it or thinks it's good or not, it's still it's 3 separate things. And then now he's got a new plan. So it is okay. It is okay to change, right, in the future, and to, as you scale, to have new opportunities you didn't see before, they weren't visible, or the economy can change, and you can have alterations. So it's not like, Wallace, once you've done this once, you can never change ever again. This is who you are, and also you can also start another fund, right? Once you've done one fund, it's easy to start another fund. You've been successful. Everybody made money. It's very, very easy to start a new fund with a new charter, because you're an established entity that everybody knows. They're like, oh, Wallace Joe did this one thing and it was super successful. I want to get in his next thing, right? I mean, guaranteed, if Elon Musk somehow was forced out of Tesla, he started a new company, there'd be a lot of people waiting in line to invest with him, right? Because they saw him with the rocket company, they saw him with the boring company, they saw him with the car company. It's like, they saw him with PayPal. What is he going to do next, right? So that's what you will be. You will have that halo, and you'll have that one opportunity to do something new. If you screw it up, then you lose that halo, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep thinking. You got to keep planning. You got to keep being honest. You got to keep, scaling. You got to keep doing good marketing. It's like everything. It is a bit of a treadmill, but it's a very positive treadmill. It's kind of like a stairway, but it's a stairway to heaven, right? But it ain't easy.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. So what's the weather like in Delaware right now? Is it getting?
We are at about 65.
Okay.
So it's kind of chilly, in the early September. I would say normally we're still at 75, but this year I just don't know why we are at 65-ish, and a lot of times in the evening we're down to like 58.
Whoa, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Oh man.
Yeah.
I love summer. I'm a summer person.
Yeah, that's why you're never in United States, right? That's why you don't want your hometown anymore.
Well, my hometown was warm actually. I grew up in Southern California in San Clemente, so it is warm there. It's not as warm as Bangkok, but it is.
Yeah.
It is very nice weather there. It's an awesome place. But yeah, no, I can't do winter anymore. I've done too many freezing cold Shanghai winters and Tokyo winters, and Shanghai, the house is a terrible heating. Even if you have a very good house, right? It's still freezing inside. Concrete walls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the home price in Shanghai is outrageously crazy.
Oh gosh, yeah. It is very high and very good too.
Yeah, and I wanna really thank the environment, the weather, for a lot of people living in Shanghai, a lot of people living in Beijing, just because that, I actually got a ton of clients over the years because they are tired of buying real estate in China. They came over here, purchased dozens of real estate from me. Like pretty much all my clients, they purchased, more than 10 properties from me over the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay. 10 properties. Right. Sure. Why not? You make money and keep investing, right?
Yeah. That's why, I started my property management company a while ago, because back in the day, I always send those, turnkey rentals to different property management companies in our area. But then, we started growing to a point, I have to have my own company to take care of all these clients, because, I just want them to be happy.
Right. Hey, I was just thinking of something, Wallace. What if you took the ideas that we talked about here and did an interview with Chinese media in Mandarin? I think that that would be a great place to start, is to do a video interview like in some kind of media in China.
Yeah, but I just don't know how to get in touch with these people.
Oh man, that's easy. It's not difficult. I've been on TV a lot. It's just a matter of contacting them and having a good story. It's connected.
Okay.
It's connected to what we're talking about today. You got to do the work first. And then the next thing is what you have to do is once you have, this is like getting in the media now, and this is a lot for one interview, but basically what you want to do is once you have that story, okay, once you have it clear, it's been tested with people, you know that it resonates, you know that it's interesting, you yourself have lived through it, so it's absolutely verifiable and true, and you feel comfortable with it, okay, that's when you start to look for media that it makes sense with. So for example, in China, you have a lot of different magazines, newspapers, TV shows where they want to talk about success. You know, success is a huge topic in China, right? You know, and immigrant success in general. Those are the type of writers, those are the type of TV shows, those are the type of radio shows that you want to contact. And then to tell them your story, just now you've got it down. It's all down to very simple, you know, one paragraph. And then, you know, do you want to talk to me about this? Right. So I would say some kind of a real estate show, some kind of an investor show, some kind of, you could do like more of a people show where they're talking about, you know, successful people and general people kind of show. You could do something that is specializes in immigrants, you know, where they talk about like traveling abroad and different things like that. That could be another place that you could be interviewed. So I would think those three things. I'd think like real estate and investor shows, right? Human stories about like tragedy and success, and you know, more emotional. And then also the last one, which I can't even think what I thought I just said, but yeah, the three I just said. So basically, contact those three types, and then you can listen to this again, and then go ahead and first get the story, get it down, test it with me, test it with your friends, and then contact them. And the thing about media is it's not that difficult to get in the media because you have a fantastic story, Wallace. That's the thing, is you got to believe that. Your story is very, very exciting, and it's very, very interesting, and it's exciting for any age. Everybody wants to succeed. Everybody wants to buy their wife a nice dress. Everybody wants to buy nice shoes. Everybody wants to buy a nice car. Everybody wants to be successful, right? Especially in China. So you got a very hungry audience, right? And once you start to get out there, they'll be like, whoa, this is cool. Because what they don't want in China, which is so common, is some kind of scam or some kind of dishonest guy. You know, you have passed with flying colors on this one. So now is the time to get that word out, right? So just if you need any motivation, just watch TV and see how many like lame stories about success there are out there, you know? And then you think, geez, I did more than that, and that's not even real, you know?
Yeah.
So start to look critically at these TV shows, right? And then think about what you did and what was different, and then to present and then look for the real success stories. And then that's what everybody wants to read. They want to read about Henry Ford. You know, there was that show, The Men Who Built America, that series, right? Everybody wants to read about that guy who did it all, who made it happen, John Sheen, right? That's the kind of, so that's who you are. You know, look, I mean, one thing you could do, I just thought of something. Look for all the places where John Sheen's story is about working in the Hong Kong factory. So if you look in Chinese, look online, find all the magazines that featured her, right? Those are possible targets. Yeah. They like that story. So you are the same story, but your story is more from the beginning. It's not, you're not John Sheen yet, right? So no, it's for people that are growing. They're looking, in other words, some TV shows, they just want to talk to the biggest guys. They only want Richard Branson, right? Pancheri, Elon Musk, right? You know, they want the guy who owns Zara in Spain. They only want the most successful people, right? But there's other people who want success stories that are in the middle. They're growing. They're new, you know, something that hasn't been heard before. Your story is new. No one's ever heard it. Everybody here is hearing it for the first time, right? So I want you to flesh it out, get the details, and then we'll take that story and then bring it to the right media that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Cool, man. Well, awesome. It's really great. Thanks for staying up. I know it's late over there in Delaware.
11. Nah, super late.
Well, but still, you know, you got kids and yeah, it's a young kids. And I love all the pictures you've been posting of your family too, by the way. That's another great thing for your story. Show your
Thank
family.
you.
Yeah, you're very
Yes,
welcome. It really motivates me, inspires me. You know, make sure you include them because that also is a big part of a success story, right? You're successful in every way. Your English is fantastic. You succeeded in business. You went over abroad. You have a fantastic family and two lovely kids, right? And they are lovely.
yeah,
They're out doing stuff and dancing and say, all that stuff is great. That's what everybody wants. You know what I mean? That's what most
yeah, yeah,
people want.
yeah,
They want success in business. They want success in their relationships, right? You've got it
yeah.
all, right? And so that's what you want to start to that all is part of your success story, right? So think about it from that holistic perspective, because we're not robots. We're not single-sided. We have many sides to us. Even business people have every relationship side. There's different aspects of. So include those different things that people see as a success, right? If you
Hmm.
were successful, but you never had any friends and you had a ton of money, you didn't have a family, you never went on dates, you know, you were always alone, that would be one thing, right? But that's not you. That's definitely not you, right? And you've got tons of friends, and I know your investors are always hanging out with you, and like
Yeah,
I can see you guys obviously enjoy each other's company, right? All this stuff is important to human beings. So it's key to try to get everything as you can in there, and then if there's too much, we can take some stuff out, right? You know,
yeah.
but it's a that's it. Okay, well that's awesome. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And I want to say to anybody listening, you know, this is what I do. This is like people often ask me, what do you do? It's like I look at
Yeah.
each person differently and I try to figure out what would work for them, right? You know, so with you, this is what I saw, you know. But with everybody else has a different story. I always come up with something. I look at the person in depth and I try to figure out what is it that will make them succeed. And I really enjoy doing it too. It's like fun for me, you know. It's very fun. I really enjoy it. Like figuring out you and
Yeah.
I. And once this goes big, I'll be smiling like ear to ear watching it, you know. So it's
Hmm.
it's like too cool, too cool.
Doing what you love is the most important thing, right?
I mean, I think that I don't know if working is the most important thing, but I think that doing living a real life based on your real preferences is really important to me. So, you know,
Hmm.
like not doing once I've gotten bored of something, right? That's why I'm not selling real estate. I'm right now. I've done it for so many years. I don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
I don't want to, and I have the choice not to. I'm not going to do it anymore. You know,
yeah,
I love to do what I'm doing now. Right now, there might be a
yeah,
point in my life where I say I'm bored of this, right, and I'll do
yeah,
something else. You know, but right
yeah.
now I really enjoy this, and so I think that's the key for me is to be honest with yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. Focus on things that you really enjoy, that you're getting juice out of. You know what I mean? Makes you
Yeah.
excited. And then when you're not feeling that, to be honest with yourself about that, and to
Yeah.
you know to try something new or to shift or change or alter. Because I've done a lot of different things too. I've had shifts in my career, and all of those were basically because I was seeing that there was not the juice that I had before. So it's like, how can I keep the juice going, right? You know, where I'm
Yeah.
excited about life, and you know, and then the way I'm talking to you now, this is the way I talk all the time. Like all my friends know,
Uh-huh.
this is me, you know. But it's because I
Yeah.
always keep on like I keep the pulse of myself and figure out what I'm, you know, what I really care about, what I really think about, you know. So
Mhm.
it's right now this is like totally getting me all fired up. So
Oh, really?
oh yeah, big time, dude, big time. Before it was like years ago, it was going to China, you know, learning Chinese, you know,
Mhm.
then starting a business and then fighting with all the local agents and all the things we had to do, all the challenges one after the other, and understanding Chinese
Mhm.
culture and just like
Yeah.
understanding the country and traveling and all this stuff was super important to me at one time in my life. But then I got good at it, right? Then I was comfortable,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, I can sit around and be this kind of person that is this, a certain what do you call it, like type of person. I can tell everybody that's who I am, or I can know that's who I am, and I can
Mhm.
go and create a next step. Who do I want to be now? Like now that I've done this, this is not what
Mhm.
defines me forever, right? You don't want to,
Yeah.
you learn how to tie your shoes. You don't like, hey, I'm really good at tying shoes, right? It's like, what can I do next? And I do the same thing with my career and my life. And
Mhm.
that's I think that's what I think personally. I think that's kind of the secret to life. That's my the way I look at it, at least, you know. But well, cool, man. Well, thank you, Wallace. Thanks for taking the time. And
thank you, Paul.
I'm serious about this. Let's see what your next, like, start writing down ideas and then send them back and forth. I'm happy to look at them as they're kind of not fully formed, you know, just as you're figuring it out. I'm happy to look and give my ideas. Just the best way to get started on something like this is don't think too much. Okay. You know, get an app, like try like simplenote.com, open an account on Simple Note, and then just start to write ideas as they come up in your mind. Just start to write, like, if I had a story, my story, right? And then as you get notes, as you got ideas, and then you can get Simple Note on your phone and also on your computer. So you can just add ideas to it as you're driving somewhere and you're like, oh man, this is a great story. I got to add this. Then pull over the side of the road, add it into Simple Note on your phone, and then close your phone and then move on. And then when you get back to the computer, it'll all be there. All your ideas, your notes. So that's the best way to get started. Don't get all serious and sit down and write. Like, just start making notes as you're sitting there, you know, having a glass of wine, whatever. You're walking somewhere, you're working, you're having a cup of coffee in Starbucks. You suddenly have an idea. It's like, oh, this story would be really good. You know, write it down. Get the notes down. Don't make it perfect. Just get the notes. Get the ideas. It's a story you're making. You're not writing a novel. You're writing a story. So you need the fundamentals of the story. What are the facts? So just try to. I would really recommend not being too serious about it. Like, have a good time. Try to figure out who you are. And then when people don't accept you for that, just laugh about it and keep going, you know, just keep going, you know. You'll eventually get the formula that I can say. It is not easy, okay? What I'm saying right now is a reason why very few people do it. Is because it seems very simple, but it's actually not easy. You know, the good thing is you actually have experience. You're not creating this thing out of scratch. You know, you're not making it out of nothing, right? So you have a story. You have experience. So start writing down your experience. What were the key parts? What was important? Where did you feel afraid? Where did you get worried? Where did you suddenly get help from somebody? Where did you think you were going to fail? Where did you, second guess yourself? You know, and just start to write down that stuff. That raw emotion. That's what I want. Your real feeling about what was really going on. And then this will make the story better than logical thinking.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so I probably get something started like tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, just
after I wake up. Yeah.
Like I said, just have a good time. You know, enjoy it. You know, start writing. It's almost like when you die, right? They read something, they say, this is who he was. He was this. He was that. You know, what do you want written on your tombstone? What do you want written on your company? Who are you and where are you going? You know, it's not all business, man. It's a lot of other stuff. It's personal. So yeah, just enjoy it and take it. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. We'll get some sleep, and I appreciate you being on here. As soon as I can get this thing edited and up online, I will have it on the China Cash Buyers channel and also on the iTunes.
Great. Please send me a copy.
Okay, will do. All right, Wallace.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Paul.
No, man. Thank you, man. It's really a pleasure to work with you, honestly. And I say that to everybody else listening. Like, Wallace is an awesome guy. That's why
I really appreciate it.
I'm going to do a second one. Like, we did an early one a couple of years ago, and I've been thinking I just felt the time was right now. So it's all good, man. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Paul.
Cool, man. Thanks for listening, everybody. Subscribe to the channel and share it if you think this is a good story, and love to hear your comments. And Paul from China Cash Buyers signing off.